March 21, 2002, Seaton Carew on the northeast coast of England. A man named John Darwin paddles his canoe out from the beach in the early evening and never comes back. That night, he fails to show up for his shift as a prison officer. His wife, Anne, calls emergency services, telling the operator she fears something dreadful has happened to him. She already knows nothing has. Search teams recover the wrecked canoe the next day. There is no body. The sea, witnesses note, had been unusually calm that evening, which makes the accident hard to explain. It doesn't need explaining because there was no accident. Hours earlier, Anne had personally driven her husband to a train station so he could disappear into the English countryside and wait. The motive is almost disappointingly ordinary. John and Anne Darwin are deep in debt, roughly £64,000, after a failed property investment, and the banks have stopped lending. Faking a death and collecting the life insurance is, to them, simply a solution to a cash flow problem. John spends the next several weeks living out of a tent, then does something almost impossible to believe. He shaves, grows a beard as a disguise, and quietly moves into a bedsit directly next door to the family home Anne still lives in, the same home their two adult sons occasionally visit, believing their father is dead at the bottom of the North Sea. For the next 5 years, John Darwin lives at various points in that bedsit next to his own house and eventually travels between England and Panama while his wife plays the grieving widow to neighbors, colleagues, and, most devastatingly, to their own 2 sons, who are never told the truth. He is spotted, more than once, by people who knew him before the disappearance. Each time, the sightings are waved off as a case of mistaken identity, a man who simply looks a bit like the late John Darwin. Nobody connects it because nobody is looking for a reason to. Without a body, declaring John legally dead requires an inquest, which Anne pursues through the Hartlepool coroner. More than a year after his disappearance, she succeeds. A maritime death certificate is issued. Anne collects £250,000 in life insurance, enough to pay off their mortgage entirely, with money left over. John, meanwhile, obtains a new identity. He applies for a passport under the name of a man born 5 months before him who had died as an infant, a classic identity theft method, and starts building a paper trail under his new name, John Jones. With the insurance money and a growing new fortune, John and Anne buy a plot of tropical land near the Panama Canal in 2007, planning to build a hotel there. They begin splitting time between England and Central America, living what amounts to a second, secret life funded entirely by John's own death. The plan holds for 5.5 years. It falls apart over a single photograph. While the couple are in Panama looking at real estate, a property agent snaps a casual photo of them together for a listing. That photo ends up published in a UK newspaper. A reader recognizes John Darwin's face immediately, despite the beard, despite 5 years, despite the fact that he is supposed to be dead. By this point, a police financial investigator had already grown suspicious of Anne independently, after a colleague overheard a phone call that didn't sound like it was coming from a grieving widow. The published photograph turns suspicion into certainty. Knowing his cover as John Jones will not survive serious scrutiny, John does something almost stranger than the original disappearance. He flies back to the United Kingdom, walks directly into a London police station, and tells the officers he has no memory of the last 5 years. "I think I'm a missing person," he says. Anne performs shock and joy for the cameras. Their sons are reportedly stunned, having genuinely believed their father had drowned half a decade earlier. The amnesia story does not survive contact with the evidence. Investigators uncover the fake passport, the financial trail to Panama, and eventually a photograph found on a digital camera. John and Anne together, smiling, at Sydney Airport during a trip in 2006, time-stamped in the exact middle of the years he was supposedly dead. Both are convicted in 2008. John receives a sentence of 6 years and 3 months. Anne, who claims at trial that she was coerced into the entire scheme, is not believed by the jury and receives 6 years and 6 months, a slightly longer sentence than the man whose death she had spent 5 years mourning in public. The court eventually orders the couple to repay over £650,000. It takes years and the sale of their remaining properties before the debt is finally settled. What lingers about this story isn't the fraud itself. Insurance schemes involving faked deaths are not new. It's the specific, almost unbearable detail at the center of it. A man choosing to live within a few feet of his own grieving family, watching them mourn him for 5 straight years, apparently untroubled by what that mourning was costing the 2 people who had no idea they were being lied to the entire time. Hit like if the bedsit detail got you more than the money did. Subscribe. 3 days, next story. See you then.